Previously on the 308 build, we managed to get the Ferrari running and driving, but all was not well. The mysterious misfire had finally beaten me and it was time to call in the experts.
Blimey.
Ian from Barkerways came to the rescue and agreed to try and help. Eventually he discovered two of the spark plug leads had been wired into the distributor cap the wrong way around. It fixed the misfire, but there was still a fair few issues with the car left unsolved.
The heck is that?
Having always worked on this Ferrari 308 since purchasing it outside on the driveway, I figured half the issues were probably being caused by the British weather and the harsh elements. And now having a new workshop unit, it was finally time to get the 308 into the dry and give it a fighting chance to actually fix this car once and for all. All was running quite well. The car would splutter a few times during the 30-minute journey and it was still quite smoky, but I put this down to the fact that the car had really not been driven at all in the last 7 years. All seemed good with the car, it made it to the unit, but then the 308 decided enough was enough. It had dangled the running carrot for long enough. It was time to yank that carrot away again and throw me another issue.
Oh, yo.
Give me a little hose. Where did that go, John? Did you film that?
Yeah.
Got a hose somewhere. Well, Ovi's first job of the day was a bit of a clean-up. Now that was a bit of a heart-stopping moment. I thought we'd really wrecked the engine there, but luckily I've had a clean up here. It was just coolant, bit of investigation, and there is a pipe that runs from the back of this thermostat body, this pipe down here. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a hole in the top of it, so we've blown the hose. The downside of this is that that hose is going to be an absolute nightmare to get to. Okay, so I've removed the cold start valve. I can see a little bracket there holding all of these fuel lines in for the front bank there. So if I remove that, I might be able to get those out of the way. I'm trying to get to the other Jubilee clip on the opposite end, which is a real pain. Now I've got the torch in there, and I don't know if you can see, there is a huge hole in that coolant pipe. So yep, that's definitely the problem. We're going to cut the old pipe off, and then we're going to try and figure out how to put the new one back on. Alright, getting that off was not too bad with a bit of cutting. Getting the other one on is going to be a bit of a different story, but having a look at that, that's the bit I cut out down the bottom there. But that was the hole in the pipe. Now you can see how the rubber has really swollen there. That's my replacement. You can see the size difference, and well, hopefully that's going to fix the job. But how are we going to get it on? I'm going to pop a little bit of this around there. Same on that side. Be time.
3 weeks later.
That was horrendous. I don't want to have to do it again. However, we did avoid removing all of this plenum chamber up here in order to get to it. So the struggle was worth it. But unfortunately, it's now revealed another problem. When it gets a bit stressful around here trying to fix these Ferraris, sometimes I just need to take a break and focus on growing a different empire. That's right, I've become a rail tycoon with Train Station 2 and grown a global railway empire. So why not join me where you'll get to do some awesome things like explore new regions around the world, from British forests to modern Japan, as your trains travel through them in this free-to-play mobile game available on all devices. I'm currently on level 10 and really starting to grow a great empire. I've collected legendary historic trains and epic modern locomotives. I love it because it's stress-free and so much fun, and right now there's a cool special Mars event to play where you get to build the exciting first railways on the Red Planet. So have some fun building your own train empire. Download Train Station 2 for free today by clicking on the link in the description below the video. And by using the link, you're going to get a free starter pack worth $15 containing 200 gems for speed up, an extra dispatcher for 7 days, and 500 keys to boost your train fleet. Now I have to say a massive thanks to Train Station 2 for sponsoring today's video and making me want to change jobs and become a train driver. So my fuel gauge was not working on this car and I wasn't 100% sure if we had fuel. So I moved the car, I shook it like this. I couldn't really hear anything in it. I thought, look, the gauge is not working. Pretty sure it's my fuel level sensor. So, look, you know, I've got to fix it anyway. Remember, we've got 2 tanks in this car. We've got one over here. We've got one on the right side, sorry, the left side. And the one on the left side is this one here that contains all the sender unit or all the output for the fuel pumps. And this is what I discovered, a very rusty one, and it's obviously broken. It's all hanging apart. This is our float here, and that gives us our level, but it's all broken off. So I'm pretty sure that is the cause of my problem. But when I removed that, I then looked down and scoped inside the tank, and what I discovered was, well, pretty alarming. When I scoped down and put my light in there, at the bottom of the tank, I could see this. Now this is clearly, look, you can see the fuel coming out of it. This is, from what I can gather, the float for the end of the arm on the fuel sender unit. So that must be a different sender unit. I reckon this is the original one. Now, you would think if there was fuel in here, that is obviously a float and it would just float up. But this has got a hole in it. And as you saw there, you can see on my hands, we got fuel still coming out of it. So as that gets heavy, that is not a float, that is just going to sink. Now here is my theory, and tell me what you think on this one. Throw that on the floor. This is the little output that goes in the bottom of the tank down here, and it feeds out into the fuel pump. Now I'm thinking that if that's in the bottom of there, and that is in the bottom of my tank, at some point that is kind of going to sit on there and block the fuel flow out of it, and I think that has been causing me a few problems. You would think that just taking that out is going to fix the problem, but no. When I listen in and look in here, we've got kind of the baffle area of this tank, but somewhere in there, there is something else. The heck is that? Now, not only is there something quite big in there, I can hear some like kind of tiny particles as well. Look, you can feel it, see it all coming out. Look. Okay, I need another solution. What the heck? All right, so can you believe it? That is everything that came out of my tank. Obviously that is unscrewed. That was the feeder to the fuel pumps. And that is a little sock that sits over there and should have these. That's obviously what these are. These would come from here. So these are some kind of mesh filter. And I would have thought you could see through them normally, but they're so gummed up. So we got 1, 2, 3 missing, 1, 2, 3 there. So that obviously explains that part of the mystery. But I have absolutely no idea what this is. This has got some kind of flap on it. Look at that. Must be some kind of flap there. Any ideas, guys, what that is? Is that some kind of part of the fuel sender unit, an old fuel sender unit? Obviously that was in there, but that was full of fuel, so that would sink. And well, I don't know whether I've dislodged these by rattling everything around, but again, really, would that stop the fuel flow on this thing? Anyway, we've got that and a load of debris there and whatever else came out as I was shaking it, so not good at all. Not really too happy about putting this back in the car. So I'm going to look for another solution. All right, and here's what we have got. I have just managed to pick up this whole tank. It's the correct one for £130. Now the reason I've got this is two reasons. Number one, well, it's just come out of a car that has been converted, literally just come out of it. It's being converted to a 308 Michelotto and it's all working. So we've got a good sender unit. That in itself is well over £100. And we've got all the extra filler here. That's all the bonus. We've got the other output and with the sock on it as well. So this is a known working fuel tank. And I think for £130, it is well worth it. And the added bonus, it even looks a lot cleaner. And this is the bit I'm really not looking forward to, because in order to get the tank out, it meant it was an absolute nightmare. You had to turn the tank, get it upside down, turn it to a certain angle. I had to take off the handbrake, the brake caliper, the brake disc. So I've got this gap here, but the tank had to be at a certain angle on a certain orientation in order to come out through there. And it had about a millimetre spare to do that. So getting it back in, I'm sure this is going to be a nightmare. But before we do that, there's one other job I want to do. I'm pretty sure we've probably dragged some muck through the system with the empty fuel tank. So I'm going to just play it safe and put a new fuel filter in there. Managed to loosen them. You want to do it really while it's in situ, so you've got a bit of leverage. Look at this, guys. Pretty dirty, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah, that was well worth doing. New filter's in. It's time to struggle with the tank. The struggle is real. Yet despite trying everything, I just couldn't get the tank back in, and the frustration was causing me to risk damaging the bodywork. I decided to take a break, then play it safe and remove more parts to gain better access. I've got another problem here, completely unrelated to the 308. It's starting to rain, so I'm going to have to try and squeeze this in there, otherwise it's going to get soaking. And there we go, the joys of not having a massive workshop. Finally, I think I've got it in. It's last little leg there, but what an absolute nightmare of a job. So we're going to put the last bit in and then button that back up. Let's see if we fix this thing. So the tanks are all in and it's all buttoned up, but I got to be honest, when I left it last night, I fired it up and it wasn't sounding too great really. But I think part of that is the case of all the fuel circulating around the system again, along with the Red X that we put in there. And it is starting to improve. There's still a few little kind of noises there that I'm not too happy about. So what I'm going to do now is put on my doctor's kit and see if we can give her a little bit of a tune-up. Now, I don't know how well you're going to hear this on camera, but to me, it sounds like it's not idling high enough and it's struggling a little bit. So I can hear a few little noises that I'm not happy about. I'm using this to really just go around and probe just to see if I can hear anything. But I think mainly what I want to do is adjust it and just bring the idle up a little bit and see if that irons it out a bit. It just seems to be struggling. As usual with this car, one step forward and then it likes to take a step backwards as well. So the little tune-up we've done there does seem to have ironed out the idle. It's much, much better. I'm happy with that, but I'm still not 100% convinced that all 8 cylinders are firing correctly. When I put my foot down and we rev the car up, there is a stutter there and it feels like something is not firing correctly. Now, remember, we have changed pretty much everything there. It's had another new set of plugs down at Barkaway's. And it could well be something as simple as when the coolant pipe exploded, we had a load of coolant everywhere. It could have got down into the plugs. I've checked this back bank. I haven't checked the front just because it's a nightmare to do it. What I'm going to do first though, before we start changing anything over there, is do something very simple. I bought some of these, 8 of these spark plug testers. We're going to put them all in line on all 8. We're going to fire up the car, turn the lights out and just see if we're getting good spark going to each of the plugs. Now I really don't know how we're going to see this, how well it's going to come out, but I'm hoping if we turn the lights out we should get something. Now what we have to do is plug these in line, just make sure we got a good connection there. That's nice. Now, this bank is okay. It's that bank there's a bit of a nightmare because there's hardly any space there. As you can see on there, we have got a little bit of coolant. That is definitely coolant. So let's just do this, and then if it doesn't make any difference, well, next job is to whip out all of the plugs and have a good clean up and possibly even change them if we have to. Now the other thing I've just noticed, 2 of 5 so far, I've only done 5, this rubber cover that sits on the lead sits over here and stops any kind of moisture or water getting down into those plugs. Well, 2 of them are completely perished. Now, bearing in mind we've got a grill here, the open grill. This car has been outside. At the moment it's inside, but for a long time, well, for years it's been outside. So, and don't forget, we've had all that explosion of coolant, and then I've had a clean up in here and jet washed it. So chances are, it's very likely that we have got some kind of moisture in at least 2 of those. So let's do this and then see what happens after. Well, that's it guys, that's the door shut. But as you can see, it's still very light in here, but hopefully it's dark enough to get a good visual on those little testers. Now, here's the idea. Really, we're gonna fire it up. I'm gonna do this very quickly because I don't really want to gas myself out in here. This car is still it still needs to be running quite a lot where it's been sat around. So we're going to fire it up, and really what we're trying to do is use those testers to narrow down whether we've got a problem coming from the coils, from the leads, or actually at the plug itself. All right, let's fire it up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the light out while I'm filming, see if it will come out better. All right, we're looking good there. And then the back bank over there. Pretty good, pretty good. You can see on that one, we've got a bit of spark discharge. I can't exactly see what's going on there. It could be that it's just touching some metal. We're gonna have a look at that in a bit, but it's all looking good. That one over there, it doesn't look as strong. We've got a bit of discharge there. Well, that was quite shocking, pardon the pun. All 8 were firing really quite nicely on this one. I wasn't expecting that. We had obviously the little bit of discharge, but I'm not worried about that at all. Figured out that that was too close on the back bank to a bit of metal poking out, and that one just needed tightening up. So that's really good. Next step is I'm going to be whipping out all 8 plugs. Now I still couldn't rule out the possibility of a faulty plug causing the problem, so taking no chances, I decided to swap out all 8 again, and with the cost being just £20, it was really the smartest thing to do. Now I've just removed this plug from the first cylinder on the front bank there. Look at that. You can see all the crud that's obviously been sat down that spark plug tube. It's probably not helped. Success! Finally the new plugs have sorted out the slight misfire and I had the engine sounding great. It was an amazing result. Other than the slight belt squeal, the 308 had never run so well. There was still a slight bit of smoke, but there was also almost a full bottle of engine cleaner working its way around the system. The next test was to move the car outside and just let it sit running for about 30 minutes, letting everything warm up and getting the cleaner to do its job. At 15 minutes I checked and everything was going great, right up until this happened.
Where the heck's that coming from? This is the car that just keeps giving.
So it's back to the drawing board once again on the 308. Hopefully it's a simple fix this time. However, I did hear that belt squeal, so that's something else we need to add to the list. But for 15 minutes, that 308 sounded absolutely superb. So there's hope yet. I've got a load more parts on order, including the service kits on this one. That's all coming in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, check out today's video sponsor, Train Station 2, and build your train empire. I'll see you all in the next one, guys.